what is what are we doing? Like, what is happening?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to this special Chillporeal episode. I'm not going to be having my usual Friday Chillporeal because I have a wedding to go to, and I promised Nerdy Neo that we would do something. So this was the day that he was available, so I was lucky to get him. So what's up? What's up, artist formerly known as Bro Buffett?
Hello, Nerdporeal. Thank you for having me on. This is quite the special occasion, and I loved that intro. That was like some of my favorite games. So it's like you made it just for me.
You know which game that's from?
Well, I mean, there was Mega Man X. There was Metroid Prime. Did I catch? Was there any others in there or those are the ones that I remember that stick out to me because those are some of my favorites.
I was curious if you know what the theme I used, what game that's from.
Oh, the music?
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I said this when I had Angry Canadian on a couple weeks ago. Like, I've never been like huge on paying attention to video game musics, but
it's 8-bit.
I was gonna say it's 8-bit. It sounds like an old Mario.
It's not a Mario, but I'll give you a hint. It came out on it just.
Oh, did you freeze or did I freeze? I lost you. Are you there? Hello? Hello? My internet seems to be fine. Hello? I've pulled up my iPad and I'm live, so I think it's on Nerdporeal's end. Well, I guess I'll take over the show. So welcome to the Nerdy Neo show on the Nerdporeal Lifeform channel. This is a great way to introduce me. Well, hello, everyone. We'll see how this goes until Brian gets back. I can't highlight chats because I'm not the host, but hello, PD York and Admiral Teague. I'm not familiar with you guys, but I have been a mod on Nerdporeal's channel for a while. I got really connected with him when he was doing a lot of video game streams of the games that are some of my favorites, and I think he just messaged me on Discord. Let's see here. Yeah, he just internet issues. Hey, Jacob Ironside's here. I do know you. I'm good. I'm buddies with him. He's in my not in my chats all the time, but hey, there he is.
Sorry, internet blip. So my bad. So what were you saying? I hope you were talking shit about me because I deserve it.
No, I was just well, at first I was like, I don't think it's on my end because my internet was all being fine. So I think it's on his end. I pulled you up on my iPad here and I see myself moving around, not you. So I'm pretty sure it's on your end. But I was just greeting the chat. I don't of the people I see here, I do know Jacob Ironside. He's in some of the chats that I'm in a lot. But Admiral Teague and PD York, I'm not familiar with. But
Admiral Teague is he's a big Star Trek guy, just definitely, and it's the same with PD York. Both are very passionate about what they like, and Mark Clark is awesome. Mark Clark is just awesome, and he's a regular on my stream, Prophet the Dragon, technically Mexican, big Wheel of Time fan, and So today we're talking about video games because this is Nerdy Neo's wheelhouse right here. So. But
I wanted to start my channel.
I know that part of the reason why I showed Mass Effect was because I believe you're a huge Mass Effect fan. Are you not?
My favorite video game franchise of all time.
Okay, so that's why I figure, I added that to the opening, and it's been a long time since I played Mass Effect. I played all 3 games back to back to back, right before the 3rd game came out.
Okay.
So I played the first 2. So Mass Effect 1, I remember my roommates playing it in college, and I was like, shit, this looks familiar. This looks just like KOTOR because of the fact that you can choose dialogue. And KOTOR was the first game I ever played where you could choose dialogue and choose what you can do.
Okay.
And let's just say I abused. I was a bastard. Like I was a vindictive bastard when I first when I played the dark side. So
I was gonna say. So I'm assuming that means when you play KOTOR, you went dark side.
Yeah. So I tried to kill as many people as I could. Like I couldn't kill Karth Onassi. I couldn't. I wanted to get him out of the way. He just runs away.
Okay, I was gonna say you couldn't kill him because you couldn't bring yourself to do it, or because the game wouldn't let you.
The game would not let me. I would I killed Juhani right away. Like I just
Okay.
I kept goading her into attacking me, and she did because that's the type of person I am. So, but like Mass Effect, I was like, I'll be honest, I really enjoyed. I don't know how you I don't know how you feel about the first game, because the first game is very different from the second and third game, because first game is more RPG-ish.
Yeah.
Whereas the second and third game is more of a third-person shooter. And the one thing I really remember was the mechanic of just taking cover. And like taking cover really helps, because in the first game you didn't really have to take cover. You just go off and you shoot, and
yeah, definitely not as much. But yeah, so I kind of mentioned this on my last party chat with Melee Games crew. Mass Effect 1 for a long time I actually liked more than Mass Effect 2. I've since flipped on that, and I do like 2 more now than I do like the first one. But yeah, if you go back and play it, like if you never played it again or never played it before, and you go back and play it starting with 1, it's definitely aged the worst. And I have the Legendary Edition. I haven't played through it yet. It's in my backlog, but I've heard
on the latest.
Yeah, it came out like early last year, I think.
So what's it called? The Xbox Series X? That's the latest.
So
Xbox?
when you're talking about the consoles, yeah. So I know the Xbox naming convention is really convoluted. But yeah, so in 2014, I think was when the Xbox One launched, and then there was the Xbox One S, which was like the quarter step up, and then the One X was the like half step up, because it added like 4K 60, which the launch Xbox One did not have. And then the current generation of consoles is the Series S and Series X.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Series X is the most powerful one. But yeah, there was the Legendary Edition is the collection of all 3 games that came out, I think, earlier this last year.
I have a confession to make. I haven't bought a new Xbox since the 360, and that was 2011. I bought the latest version of the 360. Like, I know the earliest version, everyone I knew got the blue light of death.
Red Ring of Death.
The red ring of death. Yeah. Everybody I knew. My brother had it. All my friends had it. So I was happy not to. I was happy not to get the system right away. So.
It was, so I had 3 red rings of death, so I'm familiar with that. Getting it replaced. Luckily, I never had to buy another one. Although the third one I had, I could tell was on the verge of dying, and it was right when the Xbox 360 Elite had just come out, which was basically like a full refresh of the 360 hardware. And it was, as far as I know, it was basically immune to the red ring of death. Of course it had some, but not like in mass like the launch version. But like it did away with like the face plates, and you didn't have a detachable hard drive. It had touch buttons, so it was basically like a new console. The hardware was all new. So yeah. I traded my 360, my third 360, and that was about to die. I traded it in for that one before it did, so I could still get some money for it. And that's the 360 I still have and still works to this day.
Yeah, I've been operating mine for a while, but before I even getting further into that, I forgot to announce. I mean, it's on the thing, But I have 2 giveaways I want to give away. Now, this is for these are since this is a video game stream, I'll be giving away video games. So if you have a Nintendo Switch or PS4, you'll be able to play these. So first thing I want to give away, and if people have a system, Switch, I have this Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, the first 3D Kirby game. I played it, I streamed it. It's a really good game. It's a solid game for a Kirby game. Well, actually, all Kirby games are solid. They're just they're easier versions for Mario. They're for younger kids usually. So platforming and all. So that's that's this, and then this is the remake of Shadow of the Colossus for PS4. And I played this. This is an excellent remake. Like the controls are massively improved over the PS2 and the PS3 remaster. So this is definitely worth its weight in gold, I guess you could say. I don't know. That was not good. That was not a good comparison, but oh well. But yeah, so but Mass Effect, like there's one series, I know you're not a big sci-fi TV guy, but there's one series that Mass Effect borrows so heavily from that I think you got to watch and make the comparison for yourself. It's called Babylon 5.
Oh, okay. Not where I thought you were going with that. No, I've never seen Babylon 5, but I've heard nothing but good things about it.
There are points where it's episodic, like a Star Trek show, but there's always the B plot, which covers like the galactic, the gradual, galactic war that the show keeps teasing you and everything. So Earth goes bad. This ancient race with these massive ships that basically manipulate younger civilizations. They're called the Shadows. I wonder who the Shadows are. I wonder who the Shadows inspired. Reapers. Excuse me. Yeah. Sorry. And they actually have like people. They don't quite indoctrinate, but they have like people that power their ships and everything, telepaths that power their ships. So, and they're a galactic threat. So it's the younger civilizations versus the more ancient civilizations and everything. So
definitely sounds very very much like the inspiration for a lot of I don't want to say tropes, but yeah, ideas in the Mass Effect franchise.
Because like in Mass Effect, you have the mass relays. In Babylon 5, you have the jump gates.
Okay.
So, similar thing. You have Babylon 5, the station where everybody gets together. All the different races. The Citadel. Yep, you got that. And then you have there was a war that happened. I forget.
But are these Shadows like so long ago? It's basically like myth now that no one really believes it.
Nobody knows. Yeah, not only have people forgotten who they were. Nobody remembers what they call them. What they're called. Like that, people just call them. Younger races call them the Shadows. Nobody knows what they actually call themselves, but they apparently their name is very long because it's science fiction. Let's make it mysterious. 10,000 syllables long name.
Oh my goodness!
Type of deal. So, but it's a great series. Like it's like if you watch modern entertainment, like Babylon 5 1990s with the 90s CGI blows the fuck away.
Yeah, I'll have to put that on my I don't watch a whole lot of stuff because what free time I'd have I usually spend gaming, but I'll add that to the list because I've heard people say good things about it.
And it's free. It's on Tubi right now and it's free. So it's space opera.
Cool.
So like Star Wars, like Mass Effect.
Yeah, I've heard people say like they like it and good things about it, but I literally like didn't know anything about the story at all. So
there are X-wings.
Now that you relate it to Mass Effect, that definitely bumps it up on the priority list for sure. There's X-wings, really.
Yep. I forget what they call them, but yeah, it's they made an animated version. J. Michael Straczynski, the creator of Babylon 5, came back and wrote something, and they made an animation of it, and it's pretty cool. So once again, consider being a member, and so you can participate in this giveaway. All right, at the end of the stream. So, and of course, we got Salty Traveling Sea for a night with a 99-cent super sticker, and he says, "Freaking nerds."
That's right.
Emerald Teague agrees. He says, "Babylon 5, great stories, kind of terrible effects." Well, it was the 90s. It was the 90s, so. I mean, I have to admit, though, I love those polygon 90s looking effects. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember the shows that Mainframe Entertainment made in the 90s, like Reboot and Beast Wars?
Oh, I was gonna say I have a feeling that I didn't know the company name, but when you said that, I'm like, are you talking about like Reboot? Because I did watch a little bit of Reboot, but my favorite show when I was a kid was Beast Wars. I
Yeah.
loved Beast Wars.
I mean, what's funny was I went through that first season and I didn't watch the original Transformers, so
Yeah, it was a little bit before me as well.
Yeah, I had no idea that it was in the same universe as the original Transformers. So it takes place during like when the I saw it years later, but like the Autobots and Decepticons were from like millions of years ago. They crash on Earth, and then they're basically in hibernation for like 100 million years or something like that. And they wake up in 1984. But during that time, the Beast Wars heroes they time traveled, and they're in the prehistoric time while the Autobots and Decepticons are still in their sleep or in hibernation or in a coma or whatever you call it. I don't know what to call it. So
yeah, some sort of stasis.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Beast. Yeah, I loved that era of CGI. So, but yeah, just going back to Mass Effect. I loved the first game. I really loved the second game. The third game was great until the end.
Yeah, I'm glad you say that because so many people still like, oh, Mass Effect 3 sucked. It's like, no, Mass Effect 3 was a phenomenal game except for like the last like 20 minutes.
It was like, to me, that was really the start of where things just went to shit. Like writing and everything just started going to shit. Like, I'll be honest, like the biggest thing that I was most disappointed with, I don't know if you'll agree with this one. If you've played Mass Effect 2, right? You played Mass Effect 2, the DLC Arrival. Remember how Arrival ends?
It basically bridged the gap between 2 and 3.
Yeah. And remember how Mass Effect 2 ends? Or Mass Effect 2 Arrival ends?
Mm-hmm.
Shepard is face to face with Harbinger, the main Reaper. And the main Reaper's like, you were going to fail. That was setting up a fight, and they didn't have it in the game. They didn't have in Mass Effect 3. There should have been a fight with Harbinger. And then you could do the whole Citadel bullshit thing. And then, then you have your red, green, yellow, and blue endings, because that's what they were, right? Red, green, yellow, and blue.
It was, because they, this was one of the awesome things about Mass Effect was that it was like one of the first franchises that where your choices from 1 carried into 2 and then carried into 3. Like, that was a new concept. Not even a lot of games have even done that since. Usually, if it has multiple storylines, like one of them is canon, and then in the sequel, whatever the non-canon ending is, never happened. Mm-hmm. But Mass Effect, like, it doesn't matter what you choose, that was the canon in the story going into the sequel, which was really cool. And I forgot where I was going with that.
But like, it's just like the rest of the game, I thought the rest of the game of Mass Effect 3 was great. I loved how it begins, where Earth basically gets taken by the Reapers. So I was hoping like there would probably be a space battle, or you would sneak onto Harbinger. Maybe Harbinger is landed on Earth and he's sleeping or something. You sneak in, you take over, you fight the bosses in there, and then then who knows where to take it. But like, I just felt like I don't know. I have no idea what they were thinking. They just kind of rushed. In my opinion, they rushed the game out. Then they released. Then they were mum about it. They're like, "Oh, well, I want to thank everybody for doing such a great job." Bullshit. You didn't know. People weren't doing a great job. What's funny was back then, I think EA just acquired. I'm not sure how long EA acquired BioWare.
They acquired them between 1 and 2. Because Mass Effect 1 was an Xbox exclusive for a while until EA acquired it, and then they backported it to the other consoles.
I mean, my friends and I were talking about this, and I've actually had this conversation with my brother too. We all think EA just ruined the series. I don't know if you agree with that.
I was afraid of that when they bought BioWare. I wouldn't say that it was them specifically that did it, because I guess it really depends on how much input did they have, and at what point did they buy it during the Mass Effect 2 development? Because Mass Effect 2 is still widely regarded as like one of the greatest games of all time. And EA owned them at the time. So I guess it just really depends on at what point in the development did EA buy them. But I think part of it, I've talked to a few people who are, so Mass Effect 3 is my single favorite game of all time. I freaking love it. And I've talked to people who are not so keen on it as I am, and they pointed out some stuff that I didn't necessarily realize at first. They're like, okay, yeah, I can see that on things that they didn't like about Mass Effect 3. But something that someone brought up is that Mass Effect 1 and 2, I'm almost positive Drew Karpyshyn was on the writing team for the full development of Mass Effect 1 and 2, and he left partway through the development of 3. And he's a fantastic writer and probably my favorite author. And he wrote the Mass
he wrote KOTOR, I believe, the first KOTOR game.
He did write KOTOR as well.
He wrote Revan, which was not a good book. The book that's supposed to take place prior to the Old Republic. And then I think right after that he left.
I think it takes place between KOTOR and the Old Republic. So yeah, right before the Old Republic.
By the way, I want to read Dempsey's thing. Member for 9 months. Resistance is futile. Join us in the continuum. One of us. One of us. And then we got Mark Clark, who's been a member for 1 month. Thank you, Mark. Hail, nerds. Well, actually, yeah, we're both nerds. I'm Chillporeal and Nerdy Neo. There you go. So, of course, Nerdy Neo's the better nerd between the two of us. So
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff like kind of while you were dropping out there, I was saying like I kind of joined your community when you were doing a lot of like Mega Man and Metroid streams, but then you do a lot of stuff about pop culture and TV shows that I'm not a part of. So you know a lot about that I don't like. I don't follow like Game of Thrones or Wheel of Time. So
good thing you don't follow Wheel of Time. I mean, because look who we have here. We have Prophet of the Dragon. And I think I don't know about you, but I think I hear a transmission. I think I hear a transmission right now.
What are we doing? Like, what is happening?
That was him reacting to a Wheel of Time season 2 clip. So imagine if they take your favorite, they take your favorite book series, and instead of adapting it, they turn it into something that it's not, and they make and the stuff that they replace it with is inferior, and they destroy it. They character assassinate all the characters.
Oh, I'm very familiar with that.
That's Wheel of Time. That's Amazon's Wheel of Time, or Wheel of Prime. Yeah. And then of course Amazon also did with Lord of the Rings, with Rings of Power and everything. So it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
It's funny how Amazon can be like so opposite ends of the spectrum on quality of what they work on. It really depends on who's in charge of it. Because you got, over here on the worst, the end of the spectrum of like the worst content imaginable, you got Rings of Power and Wheel of Time. And then over here you got really great stuff like Terminal List and Reacher and Expanse. It's like,
I don't think the Expanse got better under Amazon. Actually, I think it got worse because first 3 seasons were sci-fi.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Season 4, I was okay. I like season 4. Season 5 started good, and then it went the second half, with the exception of Amos's arc. Like Naomi's arc was just a waste of time. It felt very soap opera shit, but and then and you barely see Holden in the season, and I didn't even bother watching the rest. There was 2 episodes. I didn't even bother watching season 6. So I still haven't finished the Expanse yet.
Okay.
So, but we're not here to talk about the Expanse. We're talking about video games. So, by the way, I think Robert Moore just became a sponsor. Well, thank you, Robert. I'm assuming Salty gifted the either Salty or Prophet gifted this. I can't see who it is because I don't have YouTube up. So, but thank you, thank you. Either.
So, you never did finish what you were saying when you cut out at the beginning. It was 8-bit music from something. I was like, it sounds Mario-ish, but I don't think it is. And you were about to say, give me a hint on something, but then that's when you lost your internet for a few
minutes. Yeah. All right, it was Prophet. Okay, thank you, Steve. All right, there was a game I used to play. So I took a trip down memory lane about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, I was listening to the Tiny Toons NES soundtrack. So that's where it was from. It was from Tiny Toons. Tiny Toons. I don't know. Like they rebooted Tiny Toons. Not like on HBO or now it's called
show.
Max. Yeah, so it's called Tiny Toons Tales at the Looniversity or something like that. So it's supposed to be they're off to college where they're learning how to be Looney Tunes under the professorship of the classic Looney Tunes, obviously.
Okay, yeah, I've not heard about this.
Yeah, I just saw it. And I was just like, I watched an episode. I was like, no, it doesn't have the classic WB writing back like that the '90s had. So it's just, I don't know what it is. But then again, I don't know if it's made for kids because no kid, I mean, unless you're at least our age, I'm assuming you're in your late 30s, like me.
You got me by a couple of years.
Okay, yeah, I'm 30. I'm going to turn 39 in a couple months. So, but like you have to be at least my age or maybe slightly older to remember Tiny Toons because like nobody, young adults don't know Tiny Toons. Kids don't know Tiny Toons. We know Tiny Toons because it was out when we were kids. So I don't know who they made that for. So.
Yeah, a lot of the like cartoons like from our childhood have gotten rebooted, but it's like, are you targeting this towards today's kids, or are you targeting this towards the adults that watched it when they were kids? It's like, I think that's the answer, is that they are targeting it towards the adults that watched it when they were kids.
And they did the same thing with Animaniacs. They did.
And that's what I was going to mention is they did reboot that, and I have seen that, but I haven't seen the reboot of the Tiny Toons.
But yeah, the Pinky and the Brain one's probably the one. I mean, I think I think you'd agree. I think of all the cartoons that Animaniacs had, I think Pinky and the Brain was the most popular one. Gee, Brain, what are we gonna do tonight? Same thing we do every night. Take over the world.
Pinky. It's definitely the one that I remember the best.
Yeah, same here.
Are you thinking I'm thinking?
I think so, Brain.
I love that. I saw a meme or something a few months ago, and it was like this. Like maybe it wasn't a meme because I think there was more to it than that, but it's basically like this like thesis on how we're all wrong about them and how Pinky is the smart one and Brain is the dumb one, and he's playing dumb and he's getting Brain to do all this do all the hard work. It was like, and it had like all the cited like here's why. It was a pretty interesting fan theory.
It sounds like that. It sounds like the Darth Jar Jar fan theory.
Yes, that or speaking of Mass Effect, in my headcanon, the indoctrination theory is the true ending. If you're
the
familiar
indoctrination
with that.
theory, okay,
it makes because when Mass Effect 3 first came out, the ending was what it was, and then because people were very disappointed at the ending. Oh, that's where I was going when I was talking about your choices carrying through. Is that they basically promised us that you've been playing through 3 games worth of decision making, and everyone's ending is going to be different based on the choices that you made throughout the trilogy. And it wasn't. It was basically this pick a color ending. So everyone was really disappointed with that. That's where I was going with that earlier. So after the game came out, because the ending was so disappointing, people came up with theories on how they could have made the ending better. And some people came up with the indoctrination theory, which does make the ending really good. But then in order to placate the community, I guess, because there was such an outrage over the crappy ending, they released the extended cut as a free DLC, and it changed the ending. And what they changed in that basically makes the indoctrination theory null and void. The two can't coexist together. Yeah. But I still like the indoctrination theory ending better.
Because I remember there was just so many plot holes behind that original ending that people like, what happened? What's going on here? And then the game, I think they had like a monologue or something. They had like a monologue and to kind of bridge.
It's been so long since I've seen the original ending, so I don't remember exactly what the difference is. I'd have to go watch a comparison video, but they extended some of the cutscenes, they added more to it, filled out the ending a little bit better. So it was definitely a step up from what we got in the original release, but it still didn't make your choices that you've been making for 3 games. It still didn't play into that, so it was still a disappointment, but it was better than what we originally got.
Did they ever announce a Mass Effect show? I mean, I wouldn't put it past them to do so.
I've heard rumors of it, but I have not heard anything official. So, that could be amazing. Like if I had the millions of dollars to turn a video game franchise into like a show, it would be Mass Effect. But like I was saying with Amazon, it really depends on who's in charge. So it could be good, but it could be, we could get another Halo, which that show doesn't exist because that was a disgrace to the franchise.
Speaking of Halo, I mean, it was really, so Xbox, the reason why my brother and I got an Xbox, obviously as a kid, especially right when I graduated high school, I met this new group of friends and we used to do LAN parties all the time. We used to play Halo Combat Evolved quite a bit.
Those are some of my favorite memories of high school.
Yeah, let's just say there was a lot of trash talking. There was a lot of swearing. There was a lot of teabagging happening, which, sometimes, sometimes there were fights, maybe a few scuffles amongst a few of us.
As far as I know, the term teabagging didn't even exist yet. We had a different name for it, which I don't even think is YouTube safe.
Yeah, this was 2003. So this was like a couple years after the game came out, because I believe Combat Evolved came out in 2001.
Yeah,
so
it was the launch title for Xbox on November of 2001.
So I remember first seeing that. Now, the first time I ever saw Halo or the gameplay of Halo, I think I was at a hotel. I was on the wrestling, the senior year of high school, like early 2003, late 2002, senior in high school. And I saw a few people on the team. Someone brought their Xbox and they were playing Halo. And I'm watching them play, and I've never seen a first-person shooter move that quickly and that smoothly. Because I was a console guy. So the first-person shooter game that I played, the only one that I've ever played, I'm sure you can guess,
GoldenEye
on N64 was GoldenEye. So I was used to that type of movement for a first-person shooter. I never played, I think Half-Life was already I think the first Half-Life was already out at the time.
It should have been.
I don't know if Counter-Strike was a thing then too. But I've never played online. I've never played PC, so I didn't really know how that was. But seeing like Halo for the first time, I was like, wow, this looks cool and tough at the same time. Looks like I don't know if I could play this game. And then I play it with my friends, and I realize I'm the worst. Like I always get last when we play multiplayer. I always get last place. So my moniker was the Beast. So two of my friends was, speaking of Pinky and the Brain. One was Pinky, and one was the Brain. So
was that the names they used in game?
Yeah. So when they killed each other, I always got killed by Pinky quite a bit. I always tried to take him head on, because that's how I played video games. Like you go and you rush and you try and kill the best you can, but if you don't have any strategy, you're dead. And that was me. I had no strategy. So. But we used to play Damnation quite a bit. And if we got together with like another group of people, and there was like at least 15 or 16 of us, because you could connect up to 4 Xboxes at once.
Yep.
We'd play Sidewinder, play Capture the Flag at Sidewinder. Sidewinder is the winter base, a huge map and all that. That was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah,
that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, because like in the more, not that when you grow up and start adulting, you don't really have the time to have like in-person parties like that anymore. So it's kind of a lost art, which is why in Halo 5 they didn't even have split screen. You could only play over System Link or Xbox Live, but you couldn't both play on the same Xbox. They even got rid of that. So having the split screen, it was just so much fun that you don't really have that anymore.
And one thing that I remember that used to happen quite a bit, people would accuse each other of cheating by looking at the other person's screen. I don't know if that's ever happened to you.
Oh, I am a full-fledged admitted screen looker. I used it in GoldenEye, and GoldenEye was really like my first-person shooter as well. And then, did you ever play Perfect Dark on N64?
I did not. I mean, I really want to, because I feel it's a true sequel to
it's the spiritual
GoldenEye,
successor. It's built on the same engine and stuff, but it's
and the
better
same,
than GoldenEye.
very similar music. I think the same composers, Grant Kirkhope and
Probably.
I forget who else got them. And then and it looks like GoldenEye. It just looks like more GoldenEye.
Yeah,
First person.
basically everything GoldenEye did, they like stepped it up and did it better. So Perfect Dark was like my favorite game of all time for like close to a decade. And so basically, like GoldenEye was like a game changer for first person shooters on console. Obviously, PC Master Race people back in the day, like, dude, we had Doom going like way before GoldenEye existed. But for us console plebes, GoldenEye was a real game changer. And then Halo came and did the same, not the same thing, but it did the same thing for console first person shooters. It changed the game again. And games are still trying to live up to that.
Yeah. First person. Yeah. Just, those first person shooters are just, I've played the BioShocks. I've never been really good at them. It just the controls just I've never quite mastered the controls of first person shooters. So getting through, I was lucky to get through BioShock and normal. So, but I like both of those. I did like both of those games. I don't have them anymore. I think I sold them. But have you played those? Have you played BioShock at all?
I played the first one. Never played BioShock 2 or 3, but I did play the first one a couple of times. And I liked it more for the story than the gameplay. Not that it was bad. It just it didn't hit with me. I don't think it's a bad game by any means, but it's one of those top, when it comes to, if I ever talk about like games with like some of the best like plot twists of all time, it's KOTOR and BioShock.
Yeah. I forgot what the twist was in BioShock. I just remember that the first BioShock was very dark, but had a happy ending. The third BioShock, because both
depending on whether you harvest the little sisters or not.
Yeah, true. I didn't do that, of course, but the third BioShock, which was also done by, what was his name, Ken Levine, I believe. So basically, BioShock and BioShock Infinite were the two actual BioShocks. BioShock 2 is just more Rapture. BioShock Infinite, which takes place in Colombia, I believe, the Sky City.
Yeah.
What's funny is that game is very bright and beautiful and very, both games are a period piece. Like, the Underwater Rapture kind of represents like, 20s, 30s type of deal. Whereas Colombia, you're up in the sky. Colombia is more like, the World's Fair 1893 in Chicago type of setting. And what's funny is despite
kind of
the bright,
steampunkish, right?
Yeah, more, and it's kind of on the steampunkish side too. But what's funny is despite the fact that the colors are very bright in that game, it actually has a very dark ending. Like an extremely dark, like a very dark
I've heard
ending.
About it. I've heard about the ending.
That was a tough game too, but So and then after that, I don't think Ken Levine he ended his company, and then I don't think they're ever going to make another BioShock or something. So
I haven't heard anything about Ken Levine since BioShock Infinite, so I don't know what he's been up to.
Can't believe it's been a decade since that game came out. 2013 is when BioShock Infinite came out.
I was going to say BioShock Infinite, if I had to guess a year, it would have been 2013.
Yeah. But I was wondering, I was curious, so now your big forte, I believe, is Metroidvania.
Yes.
So just wanted to show some of the games I got for Metroidvania on Switch. So obviously I have a physical copy. I still haven't opened it. I have a physical copy of Metroid Prime Remastered.
Did you play it originally on GameCube?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Good.
I played it on GameCube, and then I got the Metroid Prime trilogy for the Wii.
Okay.
And you know what? The controls for the Wii controls are actually not bad. I don't know how you feel about it, but I actually really got used to the aiming at the screen and and everything. I had no problem with it. Using the Metroid Prime 3 controls.
I freaking love the entire Metroid Prime trilogy. I never did the collection. I always wanted to because they backported the Wii controls into the first two games. So I've never played the first two games with the motion controls, but I would have no problem doing that.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so Metroid Prime. I was surprised that the direct that they had this week did not have Metroid
Announced
Prime
a
2.
Prime 2 remastered.
Yeah. Not that I really, I mean, I'll be honest, Prime 2 is my least favorite of the three. I think
Okay.
right now my ranking is 1, then 3, and then 2. I like 3 a lot because I love going to different parts of the planets and everything.
Going to different planets too.
Yeah, that too. And using the ship, using your ship to aid in upgrades and
You needed to solve puzzles, yeah.
solve puzzles too, like shooting down shooting like turrets and all that and everything. I thought that was cool, being able to control the ship. I'm curious if they'll expand on that in Metroid Prime 4 if they ever release it, because it's been over 6 years now since they first announced it. It was 2017. I remember because I was at work. And you know how all these man babies, these man children, are all screaming like little girls when they see something like that. Well, it was the one time where I wanted to do that, and I was at work because this was something I didn't.
Oh my god! Yes!
Like this was like the first. That was like the only thing. Like I didn't think they were ever going to do. I didn't think they were ever going to announce a Prime 4. Like I thought that was just a pipe dream. And then they did. I was like, shit, this is insane. Because this is something I wanted. Like I wanted another Prime game because Other M came out in 2010. It's a solid game in my opinion, but it was a major step down.
The hate that it got, but yeah, it's not great.
It was a major step down. I think the exploration, the game looked good. I think the controls were fine for the most part. I just didn't like the you had to aim the Wii remote at the screen or to use the missiles.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
There was one missile expansion that was impossible to get, where you had to slide down. You were sliding down this room. You had to slide down to get to, and you'd slide down, and then there'd be this little alcove, on the wall as you're sliding down, and you had to be able to aim it right and aim it at the screen, and then charge really it while you're sliding down. It was impossible for me to do. So I never got that last upgrade. That was the only upgrade in the game I couldn't get. I tried looking up online. This was 2010, 2011 to see if there was anything on YouTube. I couldn't find anything. Seeing how someone else did it.
I've had some other issues like that. I don't remember having any issues in Other M. I feel like I got 100% because I can't imagine that I would have played a Metroid game and not gotten 100%. But I played it through GameFly, so I wouldn't be able to check unless I found another copy and plugged it into my Wii. What's up, Melee K?
Taking you guys know each other? Melee K, welcome. By the way.
This is my good YouTube buddy. Well, her and Melee James. They make up the Melee Games team.
Oh, were they? They were on your last stream, right?
Yeah, they were on my last party chat.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was there. Yeah, those guys are awesome. They know their stuff. But the Metroid thing, I was surprised too. Like that was the one thing I was like I wasn't expecting a 2D announcement, but I was expecting like either Prime 2 remaster or some news on Prime 4. I mean, it's going to be, coming up January, it's going to be 5 years since they restarted development with Retro Studios. So was it confirmed that it was freaking, people, it was going around that it was like Bandai Namco that they gave the job to initially, and they didn't do a good job, so they gave it to Retro? I
don't know about that. I've never heard of Bandai Namco being involved with Metroid at all. Because
that was the rumor. That was the rumor. Because I still don't think they disclosed who originally worked on Prime or Prime 4 before they were dissatisfied with the performance and the quality, so they gave it to Retro. And here's the other thing:
did the first 3, didn't they? Why wouldn't they? Yeah. Why would they have switched developers? I thought Retro was always working on it. On
Retro, Retro. The last game, Prime 3, came out back in 2007. All the people, all the project leaders that worked on those games were long gone. So after Prime 3, after the Prime trilogy, 2009, after that project was completed, a lot of people left. Mark Pacini left. A whole bunch of people. All the leaders of those projects left. So right now, with the people that they have at Retro now, who've only done like probably Mario Kart 8 and maybe the Donkey Kong Country, Tropical Freeze and Returns. I mean, they're learning how to build a Metroid. I mean, a Metroid game is a totally different thing than doing like a Donkey Kong game.
Oh yeah,
like it's a whole new level of skill, and they have to build this. They have to build a new thing by scratch. So it's been years, and the last couple of years they've been hiring. They're looking for talent. The Retro's been looking for talent. So if you have talent, you're willing to work in the Austin area in Texas. That's where Retro is right now. So, and I think they're still hiring. They're looking for artists and they're really looking for programmers. So
that would be fun, but I don't have that experience. But one thing I was going to say is that I follow an account on Twitter. Their sole purpose is counting the days of Metroid Prime 4, and every day it's just posts the same picture of Samus at a news desk with the head down, and it's day, I think a couple days ago was like day 1693 of no news on Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah. I got a question. What is your favorite Metroid?
My favorite Metroid.
Is it this?
Well, I don't have a Switch, so I haven't played Dread yet.
Really?
Yeah. So I've been talking to Melee K just within the last week. I've been talking to her because I was thinking, well, I was interviewing for a new position that pays way more than my current position. So if I was going to get that job, I'd have some more expendable income. So I was going to look into getting a Switch, and that was going to be the first game I got.
Yeah.
But with all the rumors that I've been hearing over this last week about how it's very likely that a Super Switch or Switch Pro or something of the sort is rumored to come out in March, I'm just going to hold off until then. But the first game I'm getting on a Switch or Super Switch or whatever is going to be Dread, definitely. So it's the only
is this like a new console, like the successor to the Switch, kind of like
from what I've been seeing, I'm assuming it's gonna be, essentially because the Switch came out in 2017, so it's been 6 years, and it was not very powerful.
Going in 7, yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't very powerful when it came out, so it's definitely in need of an upgrade. So my guess is that whatever they do next is probably going to be kind of like the Series X was to the Xbox One, where it's basically the same console but with more power. So you don't have to worry about like game compatibility; it'll be fully backwards compatible. So whether you consider that a next generation game or just a refresh, I guess that's kind of up to your interpretation. But I've been seeing from a lot of different sources rumors about a new Switch coming in March. So when we get, if they ever give us some official news, I'm probably gonna hold off until then to actually get another Nintendo system, because the last one I had was a Wii.
Do you think it'll have a gimmick? Do you think the new Switch will have a gimmick, or the new console will have a gimmick? So I'm sure they're going to keep the hybrid feature, obviously.
My guess is just going to be a Switch with more power.
Just with more power. You don't think there's going to be any, the Wii had obviously the motion controls. The Wii U had the screen,
the tablet,
and here the Switch has the screen and the motion controls, the accelerometer, but it has the hybrid capability. So I'm assuming the next system is going to have all this plus another gimmick or something that's going to make it stand out, because that's what Nintendo does.
That's true. I guess because I've been an Xbox guy since the original Xbox, so I've kind of not expected a lot of innovation from whatever Microsoft does next, and just the console but more powerful. But given Nintendo's track record, they definitely have that track record of doing something innovative and different than what they've done before. So I definitely wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of new gimmick. But I guess that would kind of play into what I was just saying, is that if they don't, well, it depends on what they're aiming for, whether they're aiming for like an actual next generation console. And then if that's what they're aiming for, then I would probably say, yeah, they're probably going to be some sort of new gimmick in it that we don't even have any idea on what it could be. But if they're doing more of just a console refresh, then I wouldn't expect anything surprising other than more power.
I think, based on what I've heard, I believe they're going to do something in 2025. I think 2025 is when we're going to get the next console. I think they're going to do this.
Console.
This Switch is going to have an 8-year life. So what's funny is the usual life of a console is 5 to 6 years. Like the Super Nintendo's life was 5 years. The N64's life was 5 years. GameCube's life, I believe, was also 5 years. The Wii's life was 6 years.
Short.
Yeah, the Wii's life was 6 years. The Wii U's was only 4.5 because
what's that?
4.5. Yeah, the Wii U.
Was it 4.5? I thought it was like 2.
The Wii U came out in November, or I believe October, November 2012, and the Switch came out in March of 2017. So it's only been 4.5 years. That the Wii U is like their worst.
I thought it was.
The Wii U was their worst. So the Wii was one of their best-selling consoles. The Wii U was the worst selling console that Nintendo had. It's not the worst selling console of all time, because I mean there's a lot of consoles that barely, you know, I mean, you have your Turbo Graphics and your Neo Geos and all those consoles that everybody's overlooked. Like those were super expensive and nobody bought because they were super expensive. So
yeah, I think the biggest problem with the Wii U was just the marketing. Like no one knew, like, is this like just something an add-on to the Wii, or is this a new console, or what? They weren't very clear about conveying what it was to consumers.
Yeah, and Iwata did, because at the time Iwata was still the president, he was still with us. Iwata took responsibility, and he was pretty public about it. He's like, you know, he was like, we will not lay off people. Me, Miyamoto, all of the executives will take a pay cut so that we can keep making games. They took responsibility, and you know what? Paid off. I mean, Iwata is no longer with us, but it ultimately paid off because between the Switch and the 3DS that came out, 3DS came out, and then the Switch. 3DS was struggling too at first because 3DS, there were no games for the first 4 months. It wasn't really until Ocarina of Time 3D came out that, you know, people started buying the 3DS, and then 3D Land, Super Mario 3D Land, and then it just started taking off after that, and then they just came out game after game after game.
Did the 3DS sell more than the DS?
No. The DS is the best-selling console of the Nintendo.
Okay.
So Nintendo DS Nintendo DS, as far as I remember, is the second best-selling console of all time. The only thing that beats is the PS2.
Which I think the Switch is getting close.
Yeah, I don't know.
I haven't looked at numbers.
Where the Switch is. I haven't checked the rankings in a long time. So, but again, this comes from Wikipedia. So who knows how true half the shit is that I'm spewing right here. So. For a long time, I always thought the Wii was the best-selling console, but I guess I'm wrong. So yeah,
I know that the PS2 sold like gangbusters because it was like the cheapest DVD player on the market, so it sold a crap load.
I remember you had the first version was the thick version, the big version, the normal size console, and then after like maybe 3 years, then they came out this really slim version. Yeah, so this really small version, like you pick it up, it could fit in the palm of your hand. I mean, not as small as like a Super Nintendo Mini. By the way, have you ever bought any of those minis? If I show the top right there, you can't really see it, but there's my Super Nintendo mini box. I have a whole bunch of mini boxes that are covered by posters because I have almost all the minis. I have the Turbo Graphics,
I didn't know they did Turbo Graphics
mini. Sega Genesis. Yeah, they did. Yeah, Turbo Graphics.
Yeah, no, I don't have any of the minis. I still have my Super Nintendo and my N64.
I even have the PS1 one. I even have the PS1 one. That's considered the worst of them because they use 50 hertz. They use the PAL 50 hertz version instead of the the US.
I heard about hertz. That.
Remember about
I remember hearing about that. It's like that.
And you're like, what the hell were they thinking?
Exactly. What's going on? What is happening?
And I've hacked into all those. I've hacked into the NES. I added the NES. You can add the NES because the size of an NES ROM is so small. Tiny. You can fit every NES game into the NES Mini. Super Nintendo, you can't. And
then some, I would guess.
Yes, the Super Nintendo one you can't. So you have to
give. Oh, you're talking the NES because I was talking to someone about that on a stream recently. That I believe. The storage capacity of an NES cartridge was 40 kilobytes.
Yeah.
So you could fit it doesn't take a lot of space to hold all NES games of all time. It doesn't even matter if there are lots. That's such a tiny space you can fit it on a flash drive.
And what's funny is the NES. Mini has more space in it than the Super NES Mini. So the Super NES Mini, I can the Super NES Mini, I can fit about 50 games into it. So it's basically all the games that I like. And not only that, I managed to use I managed to get some ROMs and I forget what they call them, where you attach something to a ROM so that it'll have a translation, because a lot of games only came out in Japan during the Super Nintendo era. So like all the Enix games. So Enix was known for Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior, and there was a whole bunch of games. There were a whole bunch of RPGs that came out only in Star Ocean is another example. There was a whole bunch of games that only came out in Japan. So I was able to get those translated, and I can play some of them now on the Super Nintendo Mini. Same with other games like Final Fantasy V. So yeah, I was like that. That was like my project like years ago when I first bought I think 2018, 2019. So what stinks is I haven't touched any of my consoles. I don't even know. I'm not even sure they work anymore. Like I haven't played anything on. Like I've had this TV for almost 2 years now. I've only played one game on this, and that was Elden Ring. I have only played one game on the PS5. So I mean, ever since I started my YouTube channel, I haven't had time to play video games. Yeah. I'm more interested in making videos about video games than actually playing the video games myself. So, yeah.
That's funny.
Speaking of video games, you ever hear this one? This is another Metroidvania. I haven't turned this one on yet, but I saw this at the store. I was like, I'm going to buy this version.
I never actually answered your question though. If I had to pick one, I'd probably say Prime is probably my favorite Metroid.
The first one?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds fair. For the longest time it was Metroid Prime and another game. I'm sure you know which game I'm talking about. And Super Metroid wins, in my opinion. I know Metroid Prime was a tough one, but every time you play Super Metroid, I don't know what it is, but it's just like it always feels fresh every time you play, no matter how many times you play it. It's one of the freshest games to play. It's one of the awesomest games to play. And it's one of the most heartbreaking games. It's one of the most heartbreaking games to play. So I've said this with Prophet of the Dragon. If they ever did a Metroid project, I want them to do a Metroid project in the vein of, you ever hear a series called Primal? It's a Gennady Tartakovsky series. It's a very violent, it's a silent animated show.
I think someone's told me about it before, but I've never seen it.
So it's so that show's about a cave person and a dinosaur teaming up to survive.
Yes, someone has told me about it.
In this prehistoric, fucked up world.
I think you told me about it when you came on Party Chat.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and watch it, but I bet it was probably you that told me about it.
I think if they made a Metroid series, Samus and the baby Metroid team up would be would be a great thing, and it would be silent. Because I mean, one thing about Metroid that makes a Metroid game is the silence,
isolation.
Isolation is the key one. But yeah, and then every turn, the baby Metroid will show up, and you don't know what the baby Metroid's intentions are. So when you first see the baby Metroid at the end of Super Metroid, you're terrified because this thing is like takes up the whole screen, and you're like, is this my enemy? Is this my friend? Is this the same little baby that got taken by Ridley in the beginning of the game? And it's so heartbreaking what happens to that baby. It's just so heartbreaking.
One other thing that I wanted to mention about Other M, before we get off of the Metroid topic, is one of the things I was really interested in it is because it was developed by Team Ninja, who was one of my favorite developers, because Ninja Gaiden Black is one of my favorite games of all time. So I was very interested to see their take on a Metroid game.
I've never played the 3D. I watched a buddy play Ninja Gaiden on the original Ninja Gaiden on the Xbox.
NES.
And I tried playing the NES Ninja Gaiden. I was lucky to beat it once.
Okay, I've never played the old NES versions.
I got it for the Wii Virtual Console, and if you get to the final boss and you die,
I've heard about that.
If just once, you just fight the boss once, even though you have a lot of life, you have 3 lives left, before game over. If you die once, you get sent back 3 levels.
Yeah, I've heard about that. It's like, that's
I don't
evil.
know, like I don't know if this was something somebody said, but this was the video game developers' way of saying fuck you to all the video game rental stores, because that's what.
Not quite to the same level, but that's they did a very similar thing with the Lion King game on Super Nintendo. They made the second level super hard so that you would rent it again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I remember, like, I'd have to do some research on this, but like there's videos out there about like Nintendo had a feud with video game rental stores or something because people weren't buying their games. People were just going and renting. People were going and renting stuff. So this was going to be the first thing I was going to ask, but then our conversation kind of went, because I don't plan these. I just let this be organic as hell.
That's basically how my open mics go.
I have to ask you, what was your first console? What was your first video game?
My first console was a Super Nintendo. My grandparents got it for me for Christmas one year. I don't know if it was launch year or the year after, but it was within 2 years of the SNES's release. And it came with Super Mario World. Yeah, I don't remember what year I got it, but it came with Super Mario World.
Probably got in 93. I'm guessing you said a couple of years, so 93, 94, roughly.
Yeah, it was either 92 or 93 I got it for Christmas. But yeah, it came with Super Mario World, so that was my very first video game. Not the very first one I ever played, but that was the first one I ever owned. I had played NES at some friends and cousins and stuff houses, but I never had really sat down and played a full video game until I got my SNES and played Super Mario World.
Mine is the NES. Folks got it. I think I just turned 5. This was 89, and I think 89 was the year that like Nintendo was really they were marketing the shit out of the NES. It was in its last couple of years. Obviously, 91. 2 years later, the Super Nintendo would come out. So the NES was being marketed like insanely. So my parents got the system, and it came with the cartridge that had Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. So now did you have 2? So the console came with 2 controllers, two 8 classic NES controllers. It also came with the orange, not the gray, the orange zapper.
Oh, I was going to say, I'm assuming it came with a zapper too. Otherwise, what good is Duck Hunt?
Wait, and you know what I did when I was a kid? Instead of being away from the screen and aiming, I would literally put it onto I would have the gun like literally up against the screen to shoot the ducks. So
that's one of the games I had played over at other people's house, and I thought that was really cool. And I did, not every time did I do that, but I did do that occasionally as well. Put the gun up to the screen. I was just thinking about it a couple weeks ago. That would be a fun genre to make a comeback, as light gun shooters. Like, they just vanished. We haven't seen them in forever. And I've heard it has something to do with you can't do them anymore because the way CRT monitors worked versus how current monitors work. I have no idea about the technology behind it, but that would be fun to get a return of light gun shooters, because those were fun.
Did I think the Super Nintendo, I believe, had the Super Scope, if I remember
the Super
correctly.
Scope, yeah, it's an item in Smash Bros.
Yeah, I don't think I ever used it. I never owned one, so I never used it at all. I think there were some games you needed it.
Yeah, I didn't have one, but there was a neighbor I had across the street who had one, so I played it a couple times over at their house, but I never had one myself.
The only game outside of there was only a couple of games that I used the zapper for. Obviously, Duck Hunt and Clay Shooter. Clay Shooter came with Duck Hunt, so there were three games in Duck Hunt. There was 1 duck, 2 duck, and then there was Clay Shooter.
Okay,
Clay Shooter,
I remember that.
Yeah, where you'd be shooting clay discs and all that. So that was fun. That was tough. But there were only 2 other games that I played with the zapper. There was a game the Konami game called Bayou Billy. You ever hear of Bayou Billy?
Never heard of it.
So Bayou Billy kind of like a combination. Looks like a combination of. It takes place in Louisiana, obviously.
That would be my guess.
it's kind of like a combination of like Crocodile Dundee and Indiana Jones, and you're in the swamp, and you're basically you have to rescue the damsel in distress from these gangsters and everything. And part of the game is like a beat 'em up, and the beat 'em up portion is tough. But there's also a crosshair level where you either play crosshair with the zapper, or you play crosshair with the controller. And it's a rail. It's like a rail shooter, except it's, because it's 8-bit. It's, you're going, it's scrolling right to horizontally instead of forward, like like an arcade game did. So, but if you got shot, you had to shoot those guys before they shoot you, or you're dead. And I never really understood how, like, I never really picked up on how I was taking damage. So I died a lot in that. So I don't think I ever beat Bayou Billy, but that was one game.
I did not know that there was ever a game that combined the light gun with a controller. I thought all the light gun games were solely light gun games. I did not know
like there like you had to there's different versions to select. If there's like I believe there was A where you could control the crosshair with the controller, or there was B where you control the crosshair. Actually, I don't even remember. Like, I don't know if you're supposed to, if someone else moves the crosshair. I don't remember how that, or the crosshair stays in the center. I'm trying to remember how that works now. I'd have to watch the game. I have to watch someone play the game now. That's weird. But yeah, but you did use the zapper for that too. So I don't know how the movement of the controllers, the what do you call it, the stupid crosshair worked. Unless you had to use both controllers, you controlled the D-pad with one hand and you controlled the zapper with the other. I don't remember. Oh yeah, there was also
very complicated for back then. I mean, it sounds complicated now.
And then there was also the Jeep. There was also like the Mario Kart looking Jeep, not even Jeep. What was that famous racing 8-bit racing game? I forget what it's called.
Excite Bike.
It's not Excite Bike. It's where you're driving. It's like Mario Kart. You're driving forward and everything, except it's 8-bit.
You
can barely see what's coming.
USA, are you?
I don't think it's Cruising USA. I forget what it was. Dempsey will know. He's maybe. I don't know. I forget.
Road Rash was the motorcycle one where you could like use chains and bats and like beat each other up as you're driving by.
Yeah, Excite Bike is like
Rad Racer. Was it Rad Racer?
Okay, maybe it was Rad Racer. It might be Rad Racer. Yeah, he's right. Yeah, you're right. Rad Racer. There you go.
That definitely sounds right.
Yes. Okay, so Bayou Billy.
I've heard of it.
So Bayou Billy was one game. By the way, Padawannabe. What's up, Padawannabe? I haven't seen you in a while.
Padawannabe.
Bayou Billy was one, and there was another one. And I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other ones I haven't played, but there was one game, I forget what it's called. There's one game where you're either controlling another crosshair with the controller, or you could play 2-player and have someone else use the zapper. There's a crawling baby that's out of your control that you have to protect. You have to protect its path, and you have to shoot the bad guys that are trying to get to the baby. I forget what that game is called. I rented it once. Someone from our church was over and we played it, and I'll never forget that. But I forget what that game was called. But you're basically you're basically guardian. You're the guardian of a baby, and you're like So the baby is like just moving along the path, the side-scrolling path, and you have to protect it from enemies, and you have to make sure it doesn't fall into a pit and die and everything. I forget what it's called. I have to look this up now. Hey, Chad, look up NES game Baby. Tell me what I forgot the name of it is. But that was one of many games that I rented from the video store. Did you have any games that you rented from the video store, Super Nintendo era?
Baby Boomer?
Is that what it's called? Baby? Yeah, maybe it's called Baby Boomer.
It comes up when I search for it.
Is it NES?
It says an unlicensed light game for NES, so that's probably what it was.
That's probably what it is then. It's probably what it is. So, what up, Gadfly?
Hello. So, sorry, what was it that you asked?
Yeah, Dempsey's. Yeah, Baby Boomer. What games did you own growing up? What games did you rent that you remember renting that you really enjoyed?
So like my favorite SNES games was the Mega Man X trilogy. Those are still my favorite SNES games. And I never actually owned any of those games for a long time. I borrowed or rented Mega Man X. No, I borrowed from a friend Mega Man X and played through it. I don't remember how I played Mega Man X2. I think I played that over at a friend's house. And then Mega Man X3 I rented. I remember taking it back. I was like, if there was ever a game I didn't want to return because I hadn't beaten it yet, it was Mega Man X3. But I had to take it back. So I vividly remember renting that one. It wasn't until years later I found a copy of Mega Man X3 in a GameStop, and I bought it. So I have a copy of, a physical Mega Man X3 unit, and that's my single favorite Super Nintendo game of all time. But yeah, I remember I didn't own any of them until that's the only one I ever actually owned was X3, and I didn't own it till years later. I have the Mega Man X collection now digitally, so I can play them at any time. But of the physical SNES cartridges, X3 was the only one I actually owned.
Okay,
I have a bunch of other SNES games, but those were my favorites.
I never saw X3 ever.
It's
I
pretty rare.
Never saw it at the video store. I never saw it sold. I mean, now I played it. I rented X once. I rented Mega Man X once when I was a kid. Mega Man X is my first ever Mega Man game. I never played the
same here.
Even though I had the NES, I never played the NES games. It was I thought the Mega Man 2 was a cop game based on the way, if you remember the box art. Remember how the old box art? Yeah, it looked like terrible. A cop game. So I looked at it and I was like,
that does not represent the game at all.
No, it doesn't. And back in that day, I used to judge video games by its covers. So, and that was a great time to judge games by their covers. So, I played Mega Man first. So I saw the cover for Mega Man X, and I thought, shit, this looks awesome. So I rented it. I was like, whoa, this is a very different. This is not like Mario where you go from level to level to level. You get to choose your level. And you have to figure out and then the bosses weren't easy. That first level I ever played in a Mega Man game, any Mega Man game, was Armored Armadillo. Okay. And Armored Armadillo kicked my ass the first time. Like, how do I beat him? Like, he's blocking my beam. He's blocking my Buster beam and all that. And I couldn't, and we returned it. And then the video store that we used to go to, because we never went to Blockbuster. Blockbuster always required you to have a credit card, and my folks didn't have a credit card, so they didn't want to do that. So,
makes sense.
So we only went to that store. So if that store didn't have the game, then I was shit out of luck. So, and X2 was always out, and so I could never get X2, and then X3 was, I didn't even know X3 existed, to be honest. It wasn't until the X collection that I finally played those games, X2 and X3.
So it didn't get to play X2 and X3 for a long time. Yeah. The physical copy of X3 that I bought was probably in the early 2000s, so it was probably 10 years old, and I still had to pay $40 for it. I figured I'd be able to get it for like $10 because it was such an old game. It's like, nope, this game holds its value because it was the X game that had probably the lowest run of physical copies printed, so it held its value pretty well.
Oh yeah, what's funny was years after X came out, I believe 4 years, so 97. So this was after N64 already came out. Like Mega Man X copies were well back into circulation, especially in late 97. I got a copy when I was in 7th grade. So I mean, this was 4.5 years after the game came out. They were selling so many Mega Man X copies. I got myself a copy of the game. So I actually owned Mega Man X, and I finally beat Mega Man X years later. So I actually was able to beat Mega Man X on the Super Nintendo. So but yeah, the X trilogy I thought was great. You know what's funny? Another game that I played, and you know what else I also discovered? Remember the Mega Man cartoon?
Yes, we were talking about that. Was I don't know. It might have been when you were on Party Chat, but I remember I was talking about the Mega Man cartoon on a stream. Maybe it was my first stream, because my very first stream on my channel was a Mega Man discussion. with a couple friends. So it might have been that one. And we were talking about the cartoon because I loved that cartoon as a kid. I don't remember much of it, but I do remember liking it.
So I did not play. I saw that cartoon before I played any of the classic Mega Man. So the Mega Man game that I even though it's distantly associates with itself with, I associated Mega Man 7 the most because Mega Man 7 was the only classic Mega Man game that came out on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah,
because all the first 6 were NES. Like 4, 5, and 6 came out. 5 and 6 came out after the Super Nintendo came out. Those were like two. Like it was funny how they used to make video games after the
5 and 6 came out after the SNES release, because I knew 7 did, but I didn't know that 5 and 6 did as well.
Yes, SNES came out in I think September, October of 91. 5 came out in 92 and 6 came out in 93. So
I did not know that.
Back in that day, like, you know,
they
used
because Mega Man X 1, 2, and 3 came out in 91, 92, and 93. So it's like they're like competing with themselves essentially. That seems like a bad business decision.
Well, it's Capcom, you know. It's Capcom. It's Capcom. So but yeah, like the X the X is really X was my initial initiation into Mega Man. And then the animated show and the Mega Man 7 were pretty much what cemented that. So I love 7, and I've played it with Prophet of the Dragon's son. He's a teenager and he loves the Mega Man games. So
that's Prophet's son that you mentioned. I remember you talking about that when you came on Party Chat. Yeah. So I just didn't realize that Prophet of the Dragon was the one that you were referring to.
Yeah. Yeah, so both his sons. I've played games with both his sons. His younger son, I play Mario with, and I play Mega Man with his older son. So, and they're a lot of fun. I just haven't had time to do any more. Like his younger son's been, hey, when are we gonna play Mario 3D World again? And I was like, oh, I don't know. It's been I'm getting used to because I went back to work and I have my own projects and I'm also part of I'm also watching Wheel of Time and doing stuff with him and everything. So it's been. I haven't, and plus I haven't really been in the mood to play video games lately myself. So
your plate's a little full.
Yeah. So, but Super Nintendo, like, I know you say you're not a fan of RPGs. So,
it depends. I like real time RPGs. I'm not a fan of turn-based RPGs. Yeah.
So what's what's an example of a real time RPG that you like?
So the first RPG I ever played was Oblivion, and I fell in love with it. So I love Elder Scrolls. I then fell in love with Mass Effect. That's my favorite franchise of all time. But Symphony up until I wouldn't really. I mean, it's got strong RPG elements, but I wouldn't really call Symphony of the Night an RPG. But yes,
you level up, you gain experience.
But yeah, I definitely do like Symphony of the Night. I need to play through it again because I've only played it once, and it was a long time ago.
Symphony of the Night is my second favorite Metroidvania of all time. I'm sure you know what my first one is. Yeah, Super Metroid, obviously. I like how Iga has said that, we base Symphony of the Night off of Zelda. I'm like, bullshit. The freaking map is the exact same structure as the same style as Super Metroid. So yeah, bullshit. But you ever played this? This is another
so I was
Metroidvania too.
Oh, Cave Story. No, that is not on Xbox, so I have not played it. And I'm pretty sure it's on PC, so I could probably play it on PC. Obviously it's on Switch because you got it right there in your hand. But no, I've heard about Cave Story, but no, I've never played it. And then the other one that you showed earlier was Owlboy, which I have, but I have not played it yet. It's in my backlog, and so is the one that you just had up there a second ago, Monster Boy. I also have that one, and it's in my backlog. I haven't played it yet either. But I've heard that I haven't really heard anything about Owlboy one way or the other, but I've heard good stuff about Monster Boy.
Yeah, Monster. Yeah, I played a little bit of it. It's an interesting game. It's I don't know. Like I stopped playing. I played a little bit and I just stopped. I don't know why. I don't know. It's been a few years.
So to touch on a question that someone asked much earlier in the chat, I don't remember who it was. But so your favorite Metroidvania of all time is Super Metroid, and someone asked me what my favorite Metroidvania of all time is, I think they use different words, but yeah, I think they said, "What's your favorite game in the genre?" So my favorite Metroidvania of all time is Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Have you played either of the Ori games?
I have them. Well, I don't know if I have Ori and the Will of the Wisp, but I have Ori and the Blind Forest on here. So, I mean, there was a point, because that was originally an Xbox exclusive. I was actually considering getting an Xbox One just for them, but I'm thinking it's not. I mean, as much as I want the game, I don't think it's worth buying an Xbox One over. And then they did the cross-platforming, which I didn't even think they would ever do. So Microsoft and Nintendo did this, and I think it was perfect because Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisps belongs on this. It doesn't belong on the Xbox. I mean, sure, I'm sure there might be some fans, but people buy Xbox games or buy Xboxes for watching movies, for playing sports games, and first-person shooters. I mean, what else is there?
How much time you got? But no, I get what you're getting at.
Okay, sure.
I am basically since 360, Xbox is the only thing I've played. And I'm a achievement hunter and a completionist, so you could go on True Achievements and look at my tag, and you can see all the games I've ever played, basically. And I've played a lot. But yeah, I see what you're getting at. It definitely makes a great mobile game. And Blind Force is one of the cool things about it is that you can play it on Switch and it still has Xbox achievements on it. So when I get a Switch eventually, Blind Force is one of the games I'm going to get because I can play it over again and get the achievements again.
I do have Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and I have Ori and the Blind Forest. You ever play The Messenger?
Yeah, I was talking about The Messenger on the last party chat because of all the news, the kerfuffle, not kerfuffle, but all the talk in the news lately about Sea of Stars. So because Melee K, who was here earlier, she's been playing Sea of Stars and she's in love with it. But so I was asking her if she had played The Messenger because it was on Game Pass and there was an Xbox and a PC stack. So I played it twice, and it was. A lot of people consider it as like top tier Metroidvania. It was good and I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't say it was top tier. But yes, I did like The Messenger. Hot take: Simon's Quest is seriously underrated, misunderstood, and misrepresented by the angry video game nerd. I've heard of Simon's Quest, but I don't know anything about it. That's a Castlevania game, right?
It's the second game. There you have the first game, then you have this was the second game, and this is actually the first. I mean, I guess you could say it's. You think everybody thinks Symphony of the Night was the first Metroidvania, but it might be Simon's Quest. But Simon's Quest is a really hard game. Like you have to like.
Go ahead.
Let's see what else. You played Bloodstain, right?
Yeah, Ritual of the Night or Circle of the Moon.
Well, Circle of the Moon is based off Castlevania, based off a platform in Castlevania. What was it called?
Ritual of the Night is the
Symphony of the Night.
Symphony of the Night spiritual successor because Igarashi kickstarted it. I guess he couldn't get a publisher behind it, so he had to kickstart it himself.
That's crazy. I mean, yeah, a lot of people wanted it. I mean, come on, it's Igarashi. I mean, people want those. People want these games. Like I don't know, it's crazy.
Yeah, I was surprised he had to kickstart it, but yes, I have played Ritual of the Night, and I completed the Xbox version. I have the PC version, so I'm looking forward to playing through it again. The only bummer is that it has an unobtainable, so I won't be able to get 100% completion in it unless they fix it.
How about what else do I got? You ever hear of Elliot Quest?
Let's see here. I think that might be on my wish list. I'm waiting for it to go on sale, or have I already bought it? But yes, I have heard of it. I know nothing about it, but my goal
you're like the character's kind of like Pit, and you have a bow and arrow as your primary weapon.
So it is on my wish list. I haven't bought it yet because I'm waiting for it to go. Because I'm a very frugal game. Oh my goodness, yeah. So I'm a very frugal gamer. I barely ever buy anything unless it's like 50% off or more.
That's a very good thing to do because I'm the opposite, and I buy a bunch of shit and I don't play it. So if you if you buy a game, or if you intend to buy a game, then, or if you intend to play a game, then buy it. If you are not going to play the game right away, don't buy it.
Exactly.
I learned that the hard way. So, well, not the hard way. I learned it by not playing the games I'm buying. So, which is on me.
Yeah. So, the last time Elliot's Quest was on sale on Xbox was October of 2018. So it's been a very long time. So it's still on my wish list. I'm hoping it goes on sale again at some point, because my goal is to play every Metroidvania on Xbox. And right now I'm currently trying to recover what's called a bean dive, where you basically get one achievement in like all the games that you plan to play, and then you play through those games and try to get back to the completion percentage you were at when you started that dive. So I'm working on getting back to the point I was. And then when I do that, in the meantime, I've been keeping my eye on all these games I want to play. So whenever they go on sale, I buy them and add them to my backlog. So once I recover my dive and I start another one, all these games are going to be in it. And by that time, I'll own probably all the Xbox Metroidvanias, except for probably maybe 10. And just because I haven't seen them go on sale, and I'm going to keep my eye on them for when they do. Yes. What was something I was going to say? Oh, yeah. About Simon's Quest, you said that it could arguably be the first Metroidvania. Looks like it originally released Simon's Quest 2, or Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest released in Japan in August of 87. And I know the original Metroid came out in 86.
Yeah.
So, Metroid, unless there was another game that we don't know about that was Metroid-esque before Metroid. I think Metroid was the original.
I forget what the name of the game was. It was a game. There was a game I did bring up on my Metroid retrospective. There was a game for the I don't even remember. There was a game that came up before Metroid. It looks terrible though. Like it doesn't. It just like it.
Was it Blaster Master?
Wasn't Blaster Master. Let me look. I mentioned in the retrospective Metroid NES. Let's see.
And Dempsey, I have the Castlevania Anniversary Collection as well. I bought it when it was on sale, and it's in my backlog, so I'll be playing that when I recover my current completion percentage as well. I've got like a ton of games in there, and like probably like a quarter of them are all Metroidvanias. So I have a lot of Metroidvanias to play.
This was a 1985 game. I think it was for what was the system for? What game was this for? I'm trying to remember what the system was this for. I don't know if it was Magnavox or something.
Magnavox. I didn't even know Magnavox made a console.
Oh yeah. They did. Let me look up. You ever play? Here's another one. Axiom Verge. You ever play Axiom Verge?
So I played it last year. I beat the story, but I haven't gotten the completion yet. I still need to do the speed run and the no death achievement. And I actually literally just earlier today I bought Axiom Verge 2.
Ah, I see.
Because Axiom Verge 2 didn't even come out on Xbox until a couple months ago. It had like a couple years, at least a year on the other consoles before it came to Xbox for some reason.
Oh, I see.
I've heard that Axiom Verge 2 is not as good as the first one.
I heard that too.
Axiom Verge 1 is very, very heavily inspired by Super Metroid.
Oh, yeah. Super Metroid, original Metroid. Yeah, like it's very, but the thing is, it's original. Like what the upgrades you get are different from because like it gets to a point where you feel like you play one Metroidvania, you feel like you played them all because you get the same type of upgrades. Like you get the double jump, you get what's another classic upgrade in Metroidvania?
Maybe like a glide or a
glide or a grappling beam or something.
Being able to swim underwater. But
A
lot of them have the same set of upgrades.
Mm-hmm. But
yeah,
Axiom Verge actually was pretty, if I remember correctly, was pretty original. Like you could shoot things and then they would become garbled. I forget what it was. Like
there was definitely some unique things about it. It has some of the most interesting weapons that I've never seen in any other, because there's a lot of different gun types in Axiom Verge, and most of them, I've never seen that type of gun in like any other game like ever. So it definitely has some unique guns. It definitely also has some unique movement upgrades. Probably the most unique is the little drone that you can shoot. Because you don't have it initially, then you get it later on, and it allows you to like hit buttons. You basically shoot it out, and then you stay stationary and control the drone, and you go through little small passageways and hit buttons and stuff to solve puzzles. And then you get an upgrade later, so that once you shoot your drone and you move it somewhere, you can then hit another button and you teleport to where the drone is. So you can use that to solve puzzles as well. So yeah, definitely had some interesting movement upgrades as well. That is pretty unique that I haven't seen in a lot of other Metroidvanias.
And I think the last one that I kind of wanted to bring up, where is that? And probably the hardest one. When you think of the hardest Metroidvania, what do you think it is? Because I know for a fact which one I think is the hardest. Bugs. Think bugs. Hollow Knight.
Oh, Hollow Knight. Okay, yeah. I know that it's I haven't played through all of it yet. I've had a really hard time getting into it. I own it, and I will play it through to. The idea is to complete it, but I've had a really hard time getting into it. It just hasn't grabbed me. I know a lot of people like it's the best Metroidvania ever. I think Ori is leagues ahead of Hollow Knight because both Ori games, I was hooked on them immediately. But I've probably spent about 6 hours in Hollow Knight, and I still it hasn't gotten its hooks in me. Like I have to basically force myself when I do get to play it. Maybe it'll finally hit that point at some point where I'm like, okay, now I'm really enjoying it. But so far, the first 6 hours I've played, it's just like I don't really want to be playing this game right now. I'd rather be playing something else.
Oh, okay. So I had to look up my I had to look up my script that I wrote. So the game that Metroid was based off of is called Brain Breaker, and it was released for the Sharp X1.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a console that nobody bought, or it was a Japan only console. And Jesus Christ, my neighborhood. This is what happens when you have the windows open, because it's like 60 degrees out and it's
nice
stuffy in here. So, but yeah, man. I mean, we're already coming up an hour and a half, so I don't know how much time you got left. I was wondering if I don't even know if we have enough people to do the giveaway. So, if you guys still want to do the giveaway?
Happy to go. Well, another half hour if you wanted to.
Sure. So, what was I gonna ask? I wrote some notes down. So. Talk Metroidvanias. We already talked about your history. So, what was your like? Do you have N64? What games do you have for N64?
So yeah, my first N64 game, because I also got that for Christmas from the same grandparents that got me the Super Nintendo, and that came with Star Fox. So that was my first N64 game. And then eventually later on got GoldenEye and then Perfect Dark, and those are two of my favorite N64 games. But my single favorite N64 game is also still my favorite Zelda game is Ocarina of Time. Kind of the funny thing about it is that I played Ocarina of Time over at a friend's house before I had it myself, and it didn't really interest me. But I ended up getting a Game Boy Color, and I got Link's Awakening DX, and I fell in love with that game. And so then I was like, maybe I'll give that Ocarina of Time another shot. So I ended up getting it. I don't remember if it was like for my birthday or Christmas or whatever. And then when I actually gave it a shot, I fell in love with it. It's still one of my favorite games of all time.
That was the retrospective I was most looking forward to. So I made that as big and as grandiose and as I gave so much gravitas to that retrospective that I don't know. Like sometimes I listen to it, despite the fact that I hate the sound of my own voice. Like sometimes I'm amazed at the shit. I'm surprised I'm amazed at the decisions I make when it comes to editing and how I wrote and kind of retold the story in my own words and everything. which a lot of people didn't like. They're like, this is not a retrospect. This is a walkthrough. I'm like, no, this is not a walkthrough.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a walkthrough, because a walkthrough is like, oh, go here and do this, and it's like telling you like how to solve puzzles. I didn't really feel if it was doing that.
I do kind of go room by room and talk about and say what has to be done, but I also tell the story too, and I throughout the game I kind of sprinkle some of my takes on how I felt about certain levels or certain things happening. Sometimes I probably could have done that a little better, but hey, that's what I did.
It was funny that you say that you hate the sound of your own voice. So I'm assuming you don't ever go back and like rewatch any of your own streams.
I do sometimes, but like the way I sound now, I feel like I have a low booming voice when I actually don't. So
because I had someone on recently that was telling me about something, and then at the end of the stream, I was like, "I'll go look into this. I don't remember what you said." And he's like, "Yeah, I don't remember what I said either." I'm like, I'll re-listen to it." And they're like, "Oh, you re-listen to your stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, I like listening to the conversations that I've had. They're interesting." It's like, "Oh, I hate sounding my own voice. I never rewatch what my streams."
yeah, I mean, like, so I played the games in order as they came out. Well, maybe not as they came out. The NES ones, I kind of got both 1 and 2 at the same time. I couldn't beat those games for years because I didn't know how to beat them. Like there were points where, like, those games you had to be able to understand the riddles that were laid out in the game, in order to or the hints that were in the game. And I couldn't figure those out for the longest time. I was a little kid. So Super Nintendo one held your hand a little bit more. So I was 8 years old. I was able to beat A Link to the Past. So Link to the Past was the first Zelda game I ever beat.
Okay.
And one thing I realized is, and when I was working on that retrospective, which Link to the Past one right now is kind of blown up a little bit. I've been getting hundreds of views the last few days. So
nice.
So hopefully, I don't know. It's RPG because of the announcement of the remake that blew up. So it's weird as I make these videos that like 1 or 2 years ago, and then it takes the algorithm 1 to 2 years for it to blow up or to trend a little bit and everything. So it's weird. I don't understand how that works, but hey, that's how it is. But Link to the Past really made me a Zelda fan, like really, like the way that story begins, you immediately are like hooked. Like you're just reading the prologue before you even start the game. You're like, holy shit, bad things are happening. And if you don't, start the game as the hero, what's going to happen to Zelda? Because the first thing they show is all the maidens are being are vanishing one by one. They're being put on an altar, and then Aghanim is just like shooting a beam at them, and then they just vanish. As far as the player is concerned, they're dead. And then it says the last thing that it says in the prologue is the time for Princess Zelda is drawing near. And I made sure to say that when I did the video. And it's just like you got to play the game. Like it makes you want to play the game, and then you start the game, and then it's history from there. And I mean, that's what really brought in a lot of Zelda fans was A Link to the Past, and then Ocarina did it. Link's Awakening did it too, but Link's Awakening I kind of overlooked. I didn't play Game Boy much as a kid, so I didn't play Link's Awakening right away. I love the remake though.
Yeah, I
love the remake.
When I do get a Switch, I'm definitely going to get Link's Awakening remastered because I'm looking forward to playing through that again because I haven't played it.
It's my number 3. It's my number 3. So favorite game on the Switch is Super Mario Odyssey, then Metroid Dread, and then Link's Awakening.
Nice.
And then I'll be honest, Prime Remastered feels like a brand new game. Like excellent, it's worth it. It's worth getting. It's worth getting for the Switch. I should probably resume it. Probably play it. I haven't played a lot of games, period, online. So I should probably play some Prime soon. So
yes, do it.
Do it.
What was that? Oh yeah. So I've only played Link to the Past. I always have to think about it because I always get Link to the Past and Link's Awakening mixed up. No, I only played Link to the Past once. And it was well after it had come out. I played it on a SNES emulator, not on an actual SNES, so I don't really have like the nostalgia for it. So I know a lot of people consider it their favorite Zelda game.
It was mine for the longest time.
Not that it's bad or anything. It's just I don't really have the love for it like I do other Zelda games. Like Ocarina of Time for me is that.
you want to, you know what the argument is, and some people have said this. Like someone left a comment today on my link to the past retrospective. Somebody said, "I love this. This is my favorite game of all time. Ocarina is good, but it's just basically this game in 3D." And I'm like, I mean, in terms of structure, sure, but that's pretty much it. That's where it ends. The structure.
I've heard people say that, but yeah, I don't remember a lot about. I vaguely remember Link to the Past, so
So
I would
Link
need
to
to
the
play it
Past.
again.
Link to the Past. First thing you do is you're in bed. Ocarina and Link to the Past are the same way. Link's in bed. In the Link to the Past, though, it's raining and he hears Zelda because Zelda has the ability she has telepathy.
Telepathy.
So she's like basically like, help me, I'm in the castle. So you take control of Link.
Help me,
You get
Obi-Wan. You're my only hope.
You get the sword from your wounded uncle, and then you go into Hyrule Castle. You rescue her. You escape. You take a tunnel. You escape, and then Link starts his adventure. Zelda's hiding in the church, and then Link goes off and has to get the Master Sword. In order to get the Master Sword, you have to find the Elder, and the Elder tells you, hey, in order to get the Master Sword, you have to get the 3 pendants, and there's a pendant in the 3 different dungeons.
That's right. Okay.
Throughout this world, so you go to the 3 dungeons in the Light World. You get the Master Sword. The moment you get the Master Sword, Zelda gets re-abducted, and they take her to the castle. And this time you have access to the tower. So originally the center tower of Hyrule Castle was inaccessible in the beginning because there was like a beam, there was like a shield around it, and you couldn't use the normal, sword to slice through it. You needed the Master Sword to do that. So now with the Master Sword, you can get in there. You go up, it becomes its own dungeon. You get up to the top, and then you're too late. Aghanim makes Zelda vanish, and you're like, shit. What the heck? What do we do now? And then you fight Aghanim, and then Aghanim sends you to the Dark World, and then the second half of the game begins. And then the Elder connects with you and says, "Hey, you have to go and rescue the 7 maidens that were sent here." And so you have to go to 7 dungeons and get the 7 crystals that have the maidens encased in them. So and then.
I definitely see a lot of similarities between Ocarina of Time then, because it sounds like the Light World is like when you're a kid, and then the Dark World is when you're an adult.
Yeah, because you had the 3, because like 3 spiritual stones were like the 3 pendants, same color and everything. Yeah, and then the medallions are kind of like the crystals in A Link to the Past, but it's a very different game. I mean, it's
definitely. But I understand people comparing them.
Yeah, so yeah, it's like I've heard like there's this channel called Normal Boots. So you've had like all the big video game channels on. Like you have freaking The Completionist, you have freaking Pro Jared. And what's funny is Pro Jared was the one that said that the Link to the Past is basically, or Ocarina is basically Link to the Past in the 3D, when they were trying to argue what was the best game of the N64. Of course, the ultimate consensus was Mario 64 was considered the best. But the few of them just didn't want to say Ocarina because Ocarina is considered the best across the board. So, which is not a good reason in my opinion. So, I still say Ocarina is the best game on the N64. Now, I believe Mario 64 is a great game in and of itself. It's a revolutionary game. I feel Zelda is also revolutionary too. I'm
not a huge fan of Mario games in general, so yeah, I definitely think Zelda is a better.
Really, not big. I was going to ask you if you were if you checked out like the latest Nintendo Direct that they had last week.
I heard about stuff after the fact, but no, I haven't watched it. But yeah, the only Mario game I think I've ever even owned was the one that came with my Super Nintendo, Super Mario World. Okay, that's widely considered the best game, best Super Mario game. I think mine might be. It's probably my favorite too, but 3D wise, I think my favorite is either Mario Galaxy 2 on the Wii, or maybe Super Mario Odyssey. I was gonna say I think a lot of people consider Odyssey one of the best, but I don't know.
I think you like Super Mario Odyssey. It's basically Mario 64 sandbox, but taken to a whole new level. Like every nook and cranny, there's like a hidden place, hidden thing to find. So the exploration feels like a Metroid or even a Zelda at points. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And the mechanic in that game is you have Cappy. You have a Cap that has
Okay,
eyes
is that
and
the
all
one
that.
that you have the hat?
And you
where
take
over
possession. And you
people's
take
bodies?
possession. Yeah, you could take possession of like a dinosaur, or you could take possession of a Goomba or a Hammer Bros or something. It's actually a really cool mechanic, and it's the game is a lot of fun. It's my favorite. It's my favorite Switch game because of that.
Okay, I was gonna say Odyssey was a Wii game, right?
No, Switch.
It was
Right,
only
Odyssey.
Switch.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't followed the Mario franchise, so I was thinking that one was a Wii game that was ported to Switch.
Mario franchise is probably the one franchise I will probably follow no matter what, but I haven't played here's the thing, I've never played every RPG. I mean, pretty much the only RPG I really like is Super Mario RPG because I played it as a kid and I got really hooked on it. It was my first RPG, my first turn-based, so it's obviously not up your alley, but
yeah,
I really enjoy the fact that you play you're allies with Bowser. I mean, I was 11 years old. You're playing a game and you're not only you have Bowser and Princess Toadstool. Yeah, I said Toadstool as your allies in your party was like blew me out of my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I played a little bit at a friend's house, but I never actually played the full Mario RPG.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So with the remake, I'm definitely going to play that. And then they came out with there's another 2D game that they're coming out with. It's called Super Mario Wonder. I'm curious how it's going to be. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to check it out.
First new 2D Mario in like a really long time, right?
Yeah, like the new Super Mario Brothers U, which was the launch title for the Wii U, and then they re-released it on Switch because they re-released every Wii U game on Switch.
Yeah, because no one played the Wii U.
Yeah, because nobody played the Wii U. So there you go.
Was that Mario on Wii U? Was that an original, or was that basically like a remaster of an older Mario game?
No, it was original. It was just there was 4 new Super Mario Brothers games. So there was the first game on the DS, came out back in the day. Then there was New Super Mario Brothers Wii for the Wii. New Super Mario Brothers 2 and New Super Mario Brothers U came out the same few months apart from each other. One for the 3DS and one for the Wii U. So the one for the Wii U is where it's more like Super Mario World. So you have a world map instead of an area map. So Mario 3, I call the map in Mario 3 an area map. Super Mario World has a world map. So so New Super Mario Bros. We had a area map. New Super Mario Brothers U for the Wii U had a world map. Okay. So it had more in common with Super Mario World than the other games. And after that, I mean, they didn't the team that worked on those went and worked on Mario Maker.
Okay, I've heard a lot about Mario Maker.
I've made some levels. I've made some levels. When I visited Prophet and his kids tried to play one of my levels. I made one of those quick, athletic, quick scrolling levels. You know, okay, you know that type of level. I made it really tough. I mean, you put the coins in the direction where you want to go, so that when they jump down, you don't know if you're going to fall to your death. You actually land on a Koopa Troopa, and then you have to bounce up to hopefully a platform or something. That's why I try to do. That's why they put coins in the levels, was to kind of give you like a path to follow.
It's like your guiding light.
Yeah, guiding light, type of deal. So yeah.
So I think it was on my first stream when it was my Mega Man stream. I was talking about, someone brought up Mario Maker, and I was like, if they had a Mega Man Maker, that might be the only game I ever play.
There is a Mega Man Maker.
More specifically,
it's a fan made Mega Man Maker, because I know Prophet's son plays it quite a bit.
I think that's why it came up, because one of the questions that we talked about was favorite fan game, Mega Man game. That's a fan game. One of them brought up Mega Man Maker, but it's only like 8-bit Mega Man. If there was a Mega Man X Maker, oh my god, I'd be in heaven.
I'll say this about the X series compared to the classic. The X series, you gives you more incentive to explore. you have more incentive to explore, and then you have to
There's
figure
more
out how
things
to
to collect.
especially those energy tanks. Like those energy tanks are not easy to figure out how to get, especially in Mega Man's 2 and 3. But even in the first game, like one thing that I thought was pretty cool about the first Mega Man is when you beat a level, it affects another level. Like
Are
if
you
you
talking
beat
about Mega Man 1 or X1?
X1,
Okay, yes.
when you beat
That's one of
like
the things I brought up too on that stream. Is that
so
was a new idea?
so when you beat like Chill Penguin, the flame mammoth level,
Flame Mammoth level.
the gets frozen, and because it gets frozen, you can get the heart
piece,
tank.
the heart container. Yeah,
Because the heart tank is right above the lava, and you can't land on the lava because it'll kill you.
you instantly
Just like
die.
landing on, it's an instant death, like the spikes and everything. Pew 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 pew, like that. So
Yeah.
but yeah, a lot of great ideas went into this, and wow, it's already 10 minutes. We're already 10 minutes shy of 2 hours. So
I know.
guys up for
Mm.
giveaway. Guys want
One last thing I want to mention before we kind of wrap up here, because you're talking about Zelda and like clues and stuff and have it hard to figure out. I haven't played it yet, but I have it. But I've talked to people who have played it. A Metroidvania that takes that idea to the extreme of crazy like clues and stuff. You got to take down pages of notes because you never know when you might need them later. It's called La Mulana. It's a 2D side-scrolling platforming Metroidvania with some of the most crazy puzzles I've ever heard of. And I've seen people who have like books of notes to get through this game because the puzzles can be like so obscure. So just a game to put on your radar if that's a Metroidvania puzzle.
what's it called again? What's it called again?
La Mulana. It's LA-MULANA. And there's two of them.
L-A, how you spell L-A
-MULANA, and there's 1 and 2, and they are probably the most puzzly Metroidvanias ever.
And what platform again?
I've got it on Xbox. I'm almost positive it's on Switch. I bet it's on everything. Let me see if I can find out. Let's see. Do you see anything on platforms? Platforms. Windows, Mac, Wii, PlayStation Vita. This must be the original because I have it on Xbox, so they've re-released it on other platforms as well. But yeah, so if you like really obscure puzzles and Metroidvanias, that's one to check out. So,
all right, I'm going to share my screen right now. Let's take a look. So if you're interested in Shadow of the Colossus, type in the chat #NerdyNeo is awesome.
Aww.
And I'm not kissing his ass. Okay, maybe I am. I don't know. But this is for PS4 Shadow of the Colossus. So give you guys about 5 minutes. So if anybody wants it, if nobody wants it, then nobody wants it. So there you go.
I would if I had a PlayStation.
Yeah, that's true. So
I've heard very good things about that game.
Yeah, apparently. Well, looks like I guess nobody owns a PS4.
Yeah, same.
Looks like nobody owns a PS4, so there you go. So,
but I have won some of your drawings before. That's how I ended up with your mug.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then I don't remember if it was you. Oh, I think you asked in this chat, but I forgot to address it recently. I think you're asking about my ocarina, and I won that as well. But I don't know if it was from you or somewhere else. I have to go back through my Discord messages. But I won that in a drawing as well.
What did you win again?
My ocarina.
Oh, nice.
It actually works. There's a lot of little holes on this thing, so it's difficult to play.
Play the Song of Storms.
I would love to. That was like my favorite song. But yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
Salty,
12.
Do you have a PS4? If you have a PS4, it's yours.
Automatic win.
If you have a PS4, it's yours. If you don't have a PS4, it's gonna be a waste of space.
Is it backwards compatible on PS5?
I don't know.
Anyone have a PS5?
I got a PS5. I don't even know. I haven't tried it. I haven't even attempted.
Because I know I don't know about PlayStation because I know only from what I've heard, some games are backwards compatible, but not all of them. Whereas like Series X will play all Xbox One games that don't require specific peripherals.
Thanks for the super sticker, Salty. You have to answer in the chat. Do you have a PS4? Do you have a PS4? So I think I know for a fact Salty's not a gamer. Salty says Purple does. Oh, okay. No. If that's the case, then yeah, okay, good. All right, fine. All right, then can't. All right, so Salty, you win. Congrats. There you go. I thought I had more people. I thought I had more viewers. Oh well, it's Monday. It's Monday, and I don't usually do this. So,
yeah,
all right. So
your usual stream time.
Yeah. So, all right, but man, thanks for doing this. This was a fun chat. I got to. It was just basically me, just reminiscing about video games. Oh wait, PD. Now PD. All of a sudden, PD.
Oh, you got some competition from PD York.
All right, fine. All right, so let's. All right.
Oh.
Let's add this back in. I didn't take it down.
Oh, X-Wing's here.
X-Wing.
Hello, X-Wing. I don't think you probably don't know me, but I know of you.
X-Wing is X-Wing's dude, congrats on your success, man. Happy for you. Hopefully Disney Star Wars will get much better. So, but yeah,
I wouldn't hold my breath.
I was going to ask you, what do you think of Ahsoka so far? I might as well ask.
I've checked out on all Disney Star Wars. I haven't watched anything since Mando season 2.
You haven't, dude. It's not my favorite show, but Andor's actually pretty good. I mean,
that's what I've heard.
It's pretty good. I mean, it's not my favorite show. There were points where I was like a friend of mine who happens to be a horse recommended the series. And he said he basically said that it was one of his favorite things since Empire. And I watched it and I'm like, it's good, but I don't think it's. I still prefer some of the prequels over that. So, but I liked the episodes 9 and 10 were great. Like the best actor in that show is Stellan Skarsgård by far.
He's a good actor.
He just knocks it out of the park. But then I didn't like how it ended. I didn't like the finale. I like when you think of the Empire, and they did pretty good with the Empire. Like the Empire was menacing again in Andor.
Okay.
But it got to the point where in the finale, and people are probably gonna disagree with me, the Empire felt like the First Order in the finale. Like they were scared of rioters. Like the Empire under Tarkin and Vader would gladly murder them all and then make up a story saying, oh, they were all killed in this accident or something. So I was disappointed. So, all right. So I'm going to do the last chance for the for Shadow of the Colossus for PS4. So
I appreciate it, Salty Traveling Sea. Thank you.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So, all right. What's Salty say?
Oh, he said you're a damn good panelist, man.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And he had his debut. He had his debut on my channel. So awesome. I get to brag about him, so there you go. So, all right. So we got 2 entries. So going once, going twice, draw.
Never mind.
So who will win, Salty or
at the last minute? He said, never mind. I don't have PS4.
And PD York won. So, okay. So he withdraws. So that ultimately goes to Salty. So, all right. Well, congrats, Salty, for Purple Valkyrie then. So, yeah, sorry, PD York. So yeah, the PS4. So, but yeah, so I was gonna give away the other one, but I'm not gonna bother. I'm just gonna do this one. So, Salty, I think I have your information, so I'll get with you and I'll send this first thing. So, save it for the next stream. Couldn't. Yeah.
Your call.
So X-Wing says your link is not in the chat.
Oh.
That's
Oh,
Dempsey
I
put
think
it
Dempsey
up.
got it there. I was like, I'm not. Oh, you know what? I am a mod, so I could do it, but not. I'd have to probably do it on YouTube, not through StreamYard.
Are you a mod? I don't know if I.
Unless
let me
you
see.
unmodded me.
I might have. Might have.
Let me. Let's see here. Where? What? I left it open. Why is it closed?
He is your number 70 subscriber, so you have to give him a prize. You have to
Oh,
give him
I went up too because I was. Oh, I did get unmodded. Don't have the wrench.
Yeah, I guess things happen. I don't know.
I just gave you mod. You're the first mod on my channel, and you unmodded me. What's up with that, man?
Well, that was a while ago. I mean, I mod people who come on the channel regularly. So
Yeah,
all right,
I'm
got
just
your.
kidding.
All right.
But thank you, Dempsey, for putting that in there. Jumped up too because I've been at 68 for like a week, and I was like, when am I gonna hit 69? And then jump right past it to 70. So appreciate it.
So what did you like the most recent Ahsoka episode where I'll be honest, Hayden was the best part of
That's what I've heard.
The last episode. Like he it's like he still has it. He still has the movement. He still has the motion. He still has it. Like compared to the other actors, like they're like I felt like I was a kid again. I felt like I was younger watching the prequels in the theater.
Yeah, from what I've heard, it sounds like his, him wielding his lightsaber is almost like, no time has passed between now and when he filmed Revenge of the Sith. But then, Ahsoka is like, I don't know, really stiff or didn't look as fluid or something. It's like she's supposed to be the star and Anakin's still showing her up. But I mean, I guess it would make sense since he was her master. But yeah, I'm just going by what I've heard. Oh, it jumped to 72. Appreciate it, you guys. Thank you.
That's what we do. Well, that's what we do. We help each other out and everything. So, but yeah, man, thanks for doing this. It's been 2 hours. I know you probably have a lot of shit you gotta do yourself. I know it's I think it's 8 o'clock your time. It's 10 p.m. my time. So
it is 8 o'clock.
So
but awesome. Thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
So, well, thank you for being here. I mean, the fact that you're here, just look what I say under my thing. I'm just starstruck. I'm lucky to have you. So, but yeah, man, what's going on with you? What plans? What's your plans for the future? What are you planning on your channel?
So basically, most of what I do is basically like this. I just like talking about video games. Basically, everything on my channel is basically nothing but video game talk. Tomorrow normally I do my open mic, which is basically this. It's very unscripted, just kind of go with the flow. Sometimes I'll have a guest, sometimes it'll just be me. I might stream something. It's kind of up in the air. That's why I call it open mic. It's very open-ended. Normally I do that on Thursday nights, but this week I have my guest, the Gourd King, and Thursday doesn't work for him, so we're doing it on Tuesday, tomorrow night instead. So then on Thursday, when I would normally do open mic, I think I'm actually going to stream a game for a little bit, which I started streaming last week. I'm going to be doing some Republic Commando because I never actually played through the full game back in the day. I played a good chunk of it, but never beat it. And then on Saturday, I have my next episode of Party Chat, which I do every other Saturday, where we just talk about fun video game topics like... Then the last one we talked about what's the most annoying video game character, or what's a game that you always wanted to play that you never got to. Just fun random topics like that. So if you like video game discussion, come check me out at Nerdy Neo. That's basically all I do.
I can answer that question right now. What was the game that I wanted to play for years that I never had a chance to?
Oh, yes.
Well, remember we were talking about Tiny Toons earlier?
Yes.
It was actually I got it as an Easter present. I think I was in 2nd or 3rd grade. I wanted the game. Actually, maybe I was in 3rd or 4th grade. I forget. But I wanted the Super Nintendo game Buster Busts Loose. And so, like back in that day, you had the Sega. The game that came out for Sega was different from the game that came out on Super Nintendo. So, Buster Busts Loose was the Tiny Toon games for the Super Nintendo, and Buster's Hidden Treasure was the Sega Genesis one. I played the Sega Genesis one, but I never got a chance to play the Super Nintendo one. And I asked my dad for it, and my mom was the one that actually went to the Toys R Us and bought the game, but she bought the wrong thing. She bought the Nintendo NES Tiny Toons instead of the Super Nintendo one that I wanted. So I was stuck with that. But yeah, that was the game that I was thinking about the other day. I was like thinking, wow, it's been almost 3 decades now. I still haven't played it, and I've had it on emulator for a while. I just never got around to playing it. So
okay, yeah, I had kind of a similar thing where after I got Super Nintendo, my parents or grandparents who don't know the difference, they ended up getting me an NES game. I'm like, I can't play this. I don't have an NES.
Yeah.
But the Tiny Toons, was it kind of like Aladdin, where the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo versions were different games?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, more or less. I mean, I think the Aladdin games were very similar. The Super Nintendo and then the Sega Genesis ones were totally different. Like Super Nintendo one, you were basically in school. And the Sega Genesis one, you were on an adventure across like a world map and everything, and you had to go rescue Babs Bunny, your sister, from it was basically a bigger version of the NES game. So you're going all over Acme Acres and everything to get to the bad guy who was, Monty Max, the kid, the rich kid, so
spoiled brat.
Yeah, spoiled brat and everything. So he was always the main villain and everything. And yeah, those were fun. And of course, the theme that I used for my opening for these Chillporeals is the Elmira theme. So when you get far enough in a world, there's a point in the game where you're stuck in a room or an area with Elmira, and the sprite will run after you and try to. It's like a game of tag, basically. And when Elmira catches you, you have to go back 3 levels. Yeah. And what's funny is Elmira is the most terrifying character in the entire Tiny Toon series, because when she catches you, she'll lock you in a cage and put you away forever. So it's like it's a fate worse than anything. So, and all the Tiny Toons characters are definitely afraid of her. Like, that's how funny it is. And she's supposed to be like Elmer Fudd's niece or something. So,
that makes sense.
But that I was listening to that theme. I'm like, dude, this would be a great intro theme, and I used it, and I've been using it ever since. So. Nice. By the way, Mags, how you doing, Mags?
Hello, Magic Mags. I also know of her, but I don't think she knows of me. I know of her through.
Everybody knows of Magitech Mags. Like, Mags is like she's a rock star. She's like a rock star here. So when I had her on for Chillporeal, she brought like a whole posse of people with her. And then once I had other people on, those people never came back. So yeah, so she's the rock star here.
I've seen her on Friday night's Royal Rumble a few times, because I'm pretty good friends with Legion. He's one of my co-hosts for Party Chat.
Okay, I don't know if I know him. I'm not sure I know him. So
yeah, if you go watch most of my Party Chats, he hasn't been able to make the last couple because he's been moving and he's been having some internet troubles. But he's been most of my Party Chats. He's one of my co-hosts.
Looks like Mags sub to you too. So you're getting famous.
Thank you, Mags.
So all right, dude, that's pretty cool. So have you ever considered doing it like video, making any like video content or anything, or are you just doing just podcasts and chill streams?
My intention was to basically just do live streams because it's easy. Doesn't have to do a lot of work. I have made a couple of videos. I made one on I guess I could say I've only actually made like one video, because one of them was I just clipped out from one of my live streams, and it was about why the new Xbox dashboard is mostly terrible. But I actually did a couple weeks ago make a from scratch video, and it's the only video I've done so far, about the games that were leaving Game Pass as of a couple days ago, because I Xbox guy and I follow the Xbox news. Mm-hmm. So I have flirted with the idea of doing more video content, but it is a lot of work, as I'm sure you're well aware. You do a lot of that.
There's just so much video content I want to make. It takes time to put together. Like, a retrospective requires a lot of research, and then I have to write it, and then I have to structure it, and then I have to record myself, and then I have to structure the the video itself. I have to figure out what clips I want to use and how I'm gonna. And so just writing it is only part of it. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into these things.
Oh yeah, I know. Like,
and I don't even, and like some people write with the intention of what they're going to edit. I don't. I write it and then I worry about the ending when I cross that bridge when I get to it. That's kind of how I do stuff.
That's your process.
So, but yeah, I think last time I checked, I'm 5 away from 3,000 subscribers. So
Petey York says, "Congrats on 3,000."
What did I make it? Am I there? Let me check. I haven't checked. Holy shit, I am
3,000. You did it! Congratulations, man! You hit 3K. That's awesome.
Wow. I'm surprised I got 5. Oh,
You're
exactly.
Welcome. It's because I'm here.
Exactly at 3,000. Holy shit. Nice. Well, thank you. So you know what that means. One thing so right now when I'm working on, I'm editing a video, I'm making why Wheel of Time season 2 is great, and everybody who dislikes it are a bunch of toxic trolls. Okay, that's not what I'm going to call it, but I'm basically pretending the show is bad or show is great when it's not. But as I talk about it, I start to unravel, and I start throwing insults at people, all the people I know, friends who are currently covering Wheel of Time. So Prophet, I asked Prophet to send me something where he's just like tells me "fuck you, Brian" or "fuck you, Chillporeal," and same with White Cloaks and everything. So I got something from Pips. He's the horse that told me to watch Andor. So, but yeah, I got a whole bunch of. Hopefully, I get more people to contribute and everything. It's my attempt at making like a parody of myself or a parody of people that like. Because you know how like every fandom now has like there's always apologists who like the stuff no matter what, no matter how bad the quality is. So I'm pretending I'm one of those people. But then I unravel and I'm like, shit, I hate myself. And then I kind of go like, I'm dead inside, kind of like the Nerd Crew, Red Letter Media and all that. So like I'd love to learn how to write satire, but satire, oh my gosh, comedy's tough.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
one thing I was going to ask you about, because your Ocarina of Time retrospective was like 5.5 hours or so. It was, when you put it all together, how many hours would you say went into making that video?
The editing took a month. The editing took 5 to 6 weeks, and it was 3 videos. It was 3 videos. I split into 3 parts. So when I finally released part 3, and then a week later, I combined them all and I added intermissions. So because I want, because an epic, like the old epic films of the 60s and 70s, they used to have intermissions quite a bit. So I wanted to give this. I felt the game needed all the gravitas it could get. So when I made the intro montage, I want to end with a boom, 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 boom. Just like because I want you to get pumped. I want the viewer to get pumped for the video and everything. And then you hear the sound of my voice, and I'm just like, oh, God damn it. But that's just me. I do mention Final Fantasy VI, which is Magitech Mag's favorite thing of all time. So
okay, yeah. Oh, one other thing I was going to say is that I talk about video games. So if anyone ever wants to come on my open mic or party chat and just talk about video games, let me know. I'm happy to have people on to talk about video games.
Yeah, So like, I think, I was the first person. I like to think I was the first person you ever asked to be on your.
You were.
Oh, I was.
Yeah, you were the first. The scheduling didn't pan out, so you weren't the first person to come on party chat, but you were the first person.
Yeah, because you had on Saturday, and I was doing something. I was doing Lord of the Rings stream with the White Cloaks, so that's kind of why it was. I forgot that I think I planned that first, and then I agreed to that. So I was like, shit. This is why you got to keep a schedule. That's why you got to keep a schedule and everything. Same here with this the wedding on Friday that I have to go to. And I was like, shit. Man, you've been the victim of bad scheduling on my part. So once again, I apologize. I take responsibility.
I take responsibility. Oh my God, that was so cringe.
I'm going to say that as long because I'm never going to let those celebrities forget that.
Yeah.
Remember, we're in this together.
Really, are we now?
Yeah, well, like, and when Ellen says we're in this together, I can believe her, because I have a $20 million mansion too. I have a $30 million mansion that I can just feel isolated because I have all this open space with nobody to share it with because I don't know. I'm not gonna go. Okay, I'm not gonna go there.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go there. So
We'll go on a whole nother stream about that.
But yeah, so so the Wheel of Time season 2 parody video, and because I managed to get to this milestone today, I didn't think I'd get there today. I thought it would be another couple days. Oh, I have to do so. I did for 100 when I made 100 subs. I did a video called "What does it mean to be Nerdporeal?" Well, I was thinking, what should I do next? I was thinking, well, Nerdy Neo, what do I always say? What do I say usually at the end of every video?
May the wings of
I haven't said that in a long time.
Oh, okay.
Stay
Nerdporeal.
Stay Nerdporeal. And I've been thinking, like, what the fuck does that mean? I mean, it's nice, but what the fuck does that mean? So I'm gonna put together a video. I'm gonna write something about what that means.
Cool.
I'm gonna use I'm gonna make him have some examples and everything, but basically, be an insight into my philosophy. So yeah, don't laugh.
I'll look forward to watching both of those when you put them out.
Yeah. So it's there's gonna be a lot of fuck yous in the upcoming one. So just letting you know. So a lot of self-deprecating humor, because my type of comedy that I really like it when I pretend to be a self-righteous asshole, and then that phrase "fuck around and find out" type of deal.
Of course.
I find that shit funny. So, and I like it when it happens. I think it's funny when I do it to myself and everything. So, yeah. So I'm pretending like I'm a complete asshole, but then I get, I just completely unravel and everybody's like, fuck you, dude. What's the matter with you? So, yeah. We'll definitely do that. So, but, all right, man. Once again, thank you for being on. Thank you, chat, Mad Check Mags, Dempsey, Salty, Petey York, who was here earlier, X-Wing, Mark Clark. I don't know who this Nerdy Neo Boba Fett person is. Sounds like a troll. Admiral Teague and
someone did ask at the beginning about Boba Fett. I won't get into it, but on my party chat episode 0, I do go into that. So if you go watch that video, there's I go into the whole difference between Boba Fett and Nerdy Neo thing. So yeah, but yeah, nice meeting most of you who I have not seen before, and nice getting to know some of you that I do know a little bit better.
All right, man. Once again, thank you, and everybody, stay Nerdporeal.
Nerdporeal.
Have a good night.